So could we see a 25x in the TTCF stock price in 10 years from now? I mean, really? Well, that is something that my main man, Emmanuel from Emmanuel Finance, stated in his video a few days ago. Now, is he hyping the stock or is he absolutely bonkers? Absolutely not. He has the same vision that I share and that I've been talking about for a while now. So in today's video on the PlantStock channel, I'm going to share my vision and my perspective on this. Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome. If you're not, then obviously welcome back. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, consider doing it. If you want information regarding the chef Beyond Meat and Oatly, to name a few. So subscribe and don't forget that bell button. And as always, I would truly appreciate an early thumbs up because it helps spread this video to a lot more people out there. Thank you, folks. I truly appreciate your help. And before I start sharing what I feel and think about this, I just want to remind you that what Emmanuel talked about in his videos does have to do with a different kind of chef that we see today, right? We're not only talking about the frozen section. He does tell us several times that it has to move on. It has to go into different aisles in the store, right? Different kinds of food products. And he's also stating several times that we're talking about a company that's going to move on internationally, right? And we're going to talk more about this. Now, first of all, I just want to say, I've talked about this a little. There's so many spaces that the chef hasn't entered into as of yet, right? I mean, one of the things that I've talked about a little is desserts. I mean, desserts, folks. Nabati Foods, that is going to IPO soon, they have created a cheesecake that's not only vegan and gluten-free, but has a whole foods approach. Imagine the same kind of thing for a chef. They would be perfectly situated to create something like that because already they think about having a plant-based product that is gluten-free and using a whole foods approach. They would be perfect at this. And there's so many other kinds of desserts that they could create, right? Like healthier choices when it comes to ice cream, or like us vegans in the health community, we talked about something called nice cream, right? You make something that's kind of like a smoothie bowl, but it's more focused on being actually a dessert, right? So I think when it comes to the dessert space, I mean, there's so much to do there. But then let's move into other kinds of cuisines, right? Like Indian food, Thai food, there's so much there. I mean, these kind of foods are traditionally rice-heavy foods, right? And today we know that people care about making a healthier choice. And a lot of people are also a little nervous when it comes to carbs. And that's why cauliflower rice is perfect. Whatever we feel about ordinary rice, we do know that cauliflower in itself has a higher nutritional value and it does have lower carbs, right? But there's another thing that I haven't seen any other video maker right now talk about in relations to the chef, and it is the whole thing with cauliflower rice, right? Because what is happening with rice? In itself, I think rice is a perfectly good food in many ways. I wouldn't worry about the carbs there. But there's another thing that is becoming more and more highlighted when it comes to a lot of research, and that is arsenic. And we know that with most rices, if not all of them, it doesn't matter if it's organic, if it's brown rice or white rice, most of them out there today have quite high levels of arsenic, which means that there's recommendations to only eat rice maybe once or twice a week. So imagine being able to replace a lot of those traditional dishes with cauliflower rice instead. I mean, that's a stroke of genius from a business perspective, right? And then if we go into Indian food, right, which is a huge space that I think a lot of plant-based companies could actually start to fill into. Now, obviously, I'm half Indian, so I'm kind of biased, but still see the potential. Dishes like tikka masala, garam masala, different dal means lentils, right? Buna dal makhani, the list goes on. I mean, there's so many dishes there that could be replaced with rice because they go perfectly with rice. But if you use cauliflower rice, then it doesn't really matter because it's all about the sauce, right? And it mixes in with that cauliflower rice. I could imagine the kind of flavors we could expect. And then we have Thai food, right? Which is also a huge market. I mean, there's a lot of Thai restaurants all over the West, what I know anyways. And when it comes to plant-based options, it's so simple. When you go to any kind of Thai restaurants I've been in here in Sweden anyways, you can basically replace any dish with tofu, right? Tofu, the soy traditional dish that they've been eating in Asia for about 5,000 years. So you can have like masaman, pad thai, and the list goes on there too, right? I mean, the innovation possibilities are endless when it comes to these kind of cultural dishes. And I'm sure that Sarah could work up some magic in her kitchen. And in my opinion, especially their 100% plant-based dishes are going to do really well long-term. Now, no matter sensitivity, if you're vegan, vegetarian, eat meat, gluten sensitivity, there's something for everyone. And as we talked about, there's a lot of people who are nervous about carbs, carb phobic to some extent, right? No matter if the research actually supports that. I mean, there's different kinds of carbs out there, right? We're not talking about white pasta and white bread, but you can compare those kind of carbs to quinoa, right? Or whole grain pasta, teff, to name a few. But it doesn't matter if people are worried about eating carbs for different reasons, then this company's products with the cauliflower rice is perfectly situated. So again, is it possible that they could reach a 25x in stock price? And I think it is possible. But again, like Emmanuel stated, we have to realize that they have to execute on all parts, right? And we have to remember, then it's not going to be enough with the kind of facilities they have now. They're going to have to buy more and more facilities over the years. There's no questions about that. And again, they need to move on from the frozen section, right? They need to move on into different areas of the store. And I'm sure that's the whole plan. That's what they're talking about. They're moving into snacks now. And Jeremy from Financial Education, he talks about something else also when it comes to the tortilla factory, the Carson factory, right? That could they start making nachos, right? That would be a huge business in itself, and that would grow. And again, we're talking about that international scale, right? Moving into Europe. Do not forget, Europe is an incredible market, much larger than the US. First, population-wise, we're talking about double the population, more than double the population. And we're talking about a very plant-based friendly population that's growing more and more here in Europe. And then obviously moving into Europe, they're already talking about Mexico, right? Mexico! Moving into South America would be the logical step there. And also a lot of those dishes in South America traditionally has been heavily plant-based. So would be a logical step. And obviously I do believe long-term Asia would be another logical step for the company. But guys, let's just take a breather here, right? Just relax, because in the US right now, I mean, they've barely begun their journey in the US, right? And they can be there for a couple of years and see the company expand like crazy to begin with. So we're good to go. Now, I know that some people feel that Emmanuel was a little far out when he said a 25x. Well, remember, he didn't say it's going to be a 25x. He's talking about a possibility. Now, that's a huge difference, right? And again, depending on the executions in the coming years. And let's face it, if it only was a 10x in the next 10 years, well, obviously that would be amazing too from whatever you've invested right now. And it's going to take time before it starts flying off. So don't worry about that. But the 10x possibility is obviously something I've talked about before that we could see in the next 5 to 10 years. If you haven't seen that video, take a look up here. But I do understand that there are some people out there who feel that the 25x, and based on what Emmanuel talked about, keeping a PS ratio of 10, and during those 10 years in one way or another, that some people feel that that's extreme. But we have to think about it, because I've seen some people saying that, well, in 10 years from now, the company is going to be mature, right? So mature food companies out there usually trade at a much lower PS ratio, like around 0.7 or 1 or 1.5. Well, we have to realize a mature company is not 10 years in the food business, right? We're talking about 50 to 100 years. I mean, take a look at Conagra Foods, right? They're a business that has a revenue of about 8 billion, right? Since 2017 there. It was founded in 1919. And remember, what Emmanuel was talking about is 4 billion in revenue, right? Giving it a market cap of 40 billion with a PS ratio of 10. And then we have Tyson Food, which is an absolute beast, right? It's a revenue of about $42 billion, right? And that's basically what the market cap is around that too. And that was founded in 1935. And just for good measure, just talk about PepsiCo here, founded in 1965, and they have market valuation, I think, about $200 billion. So again, I don't think that's a fair comparison with companies that have existed a very, very long time and not really innovating, nothing compared to the Chef or other plant-based companies out there. And also try to remember Tesla. Now there's an incredible innovative company, right? But it's existed over 10 years now. I think it IPO'd in 2010 or 2011. And it is still trading at a PS ratio normally around 2022. And then we have Amazon. What a disruptive company there too. But it's existed for over 25 or 27 years with a PS ratio of around 4 or 5. Granted, lower, but it's 25, 27 years old. So we have to understand that really disruptive companies that are part of changing the world, which the Chef will definitely be part of, they deserve a higher PS ratio, right? Because they're that innovative. But just for good measure then, well, let's just give the company a PS ratio of 5 in about 10 years from now, right? Well, that's still at 12.5x. That's still plenty, folks. That's still plenty. Well, folks, that was it for today. I truly hope you got some value from today's video. And if you did, make sure to smash that like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet and you want to keep getting more information regarding the Chef, Beyond Meat, the very good food company, maybe Oatly, make sure to subscribe and don't forget that magical bell button. Thank you, folks. I truly appreciate your help. And as always, remember, this was not financial advice. These were just my own thoughts and opinions. It's important to do your own due diligence and always invest safe. I hope you're going to have a great Thursday, folks. Hope to see you soon, and peace out.